The middleweight division is in a transitionary phase right now. You'd really say a lot of the divisions are. Izzy just lost last week, right? He was the reigning champ for a long time. Du Plessis is trying to step up and solidify himself as the king, and everybody is saying now Weili is about to lose to the prophecy, Tatiana Suarez right there. So we have a lot to talk about today, folks. UFC 312, titles are on the line. A little bit of a lackluster pay-per-view portion, but a lot of fun fights. And I would say this is one of the more difficult cards that we've had to break down as of late, and that's always how it trends. But joining me, as always, to break down the madness is the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, like I said, transitionary period right now. A lot of ebbs, a lot of flows, and somebody has to put their foot down, has to put their foot in the dirt and say, I am here to stay. I am the king and or queen. Real quick, do we think we see some and stills, or are we seeing some and news this weekend, brother?
Not to let too much out of the bag, Derek, but I think there might be at least one, maybe a couple and news we're seeing going forward. And I agree with you. This is a very interesting time, and even a pay-per-view. There's a lot of names that not a lot of people are familiar with, where normally pay-per-views are star-studded, but there's some stars going to be in this one made for sure.
Justin Tafa, third bout on the main card for a pay-per-view. What a time to be alive, brother. But hey, folks, we're going to break down all of that good stuff in just a few moments. Before we do that, though, of course, we need to talk about what happened at UFC Saudi Arabia. I hope you enjoyed, depending on where you're located in the world, right? It was an early card. For the West Coasters like me, it was really early. That was a tough one. And to see what we got heartbreak. Izzy, he lost, and that was a consensus pick, AJ, so no better place to start. 4 consensus picks, 2 and 2, 50%, not bad, but that's not what we're happy with here at the Bloody Water Podcast. Big hit, though. Dog of the week. We called it a mile away. MVP over Shara Bullet. Easy money. Sergey Pavlovich took the wrestler's approach to victory, but Saeed Nurmagomedov, the Nurmagomedov curse of that clan, it definitely is real, and Izzy, he lost. Just give me a quick recap, man. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Izzy, or at least the talent pool of the division, has finally caught up to the skills of Izzy. He looks good until he gets caught with his hands down. And like you said, Derek, the Nurmagomedov curse, yes, it looks like it came true, man. The comments were real, right? The gas tank of Nurmagomedov failed him. Oliveira was able to put the work in. Looked great.
Yeah, man. I mean, on a positive note, right? Consensus picks for 50-50, but you got a dub again. You're slowly building a lead. AJ, 3 and 2 on the week, 11 and 4 overall, sitting beautiful at a 73% accuracy rate. And you hit on MVP, Pavlovich, and the one where I got a little pushback, but hey, the smile killer, Faraz Yum, he got the job done. AJ, I know you were sweating bullets when he was stuck in a calf slicer, getting manhandled on the ground, but hey, listen, man, the Frenchman, he is very, very good at what he does. AJ, what'd you make of that bout specifically? That was really the turning bout for us, right? Zion versus Davis. There were some paint fume, huffing fume controversy that was going on. I don't know if you heard about that, but a lot of losing fighters were talking all about it. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, if it barks once, it barks twice, there's probably some truth to the dog saying there's something going on. So, you got to take the fighters at the word as far as that. But yeah, Derek, big takeaway from the Zion fight. I'm surprised he still has his knee intact. That thing was crazy. It was deep. It was very interesting, but he's a dog. You got to give it to him, man. He put the work to Davis.
Let's not forget, you said it once, you've said it twice. You've said it 3 times probably on this podcast. He said, hey, sometimes I'd rather be lucky than to be good. And I agree with you because I was on the short end of the stick on that one, so no worries. AJ, props. Let's talk about it, man. I got to give us some good news because I did hit on one. We finally got one on the board. I did it for us, brother. Hey, this is a competition, but I did it for us because we was hurting, right? 1 and 2 on the year, 33%, but we're going up from here, folks. MVP by decision, plus 250, dog right there. If you put a sizable amount on there, you are a happy camper. We're going to bring you more of those. But AJ, Gaziev versus Peterson, over 1.5. I figured for a heavyweight bout, that's the one. He got one hitter quitter, though. What'd you make of it?
Got one hitter quitter, Derek. This one hurt bad, right? Because there was some other heavyweights that I was looking at where I'm like, oh, the under's the favorite. I might as well take the over for this. Got let down by the one I actually chose to roll with, folks, so I apologize. But I gotta say, Derek, you held us up good. Folks, he didn't just do it for us on the show. He did it for y'all because you're making money off that, too.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, if y'all don't win, we don't win. I mean, technically, we do win. You have to tail us for y'all to win, too. But, listen, y'all get the picture. Bloody Water Podcast, baby. All right, AJ, key takeaways, and then we're going to jump into the UFC 312 card. Favored fighters won 8 of 11 fights, so this was a really chalky card. 3 big dogs hit. Imavov at plus 140, Page plus 145, and Vinicius Oliveira plus 130 right here, all main cards. So the prelims were super duper chalky. 4 finishes in 11 fights. Imavov, Gaziev, Terrence McKinney, welcome back, and Bogdan Grad right there, your sleeper, all knockouts. So morning MMA, at least for us over there, the Saudi Arabian MMA. That's what they gave us. But AJ, we are on to bigger and better, folks. Really, I should say, if you haven't subscribed at this point of the podcast, you definitely should subscribe. We're gonna get you the winning bets, and we're gonna break down 312 right now. Consensus picks on deck here. AJ, Dricus Du Plessis, Taliesin Teixeira, I was actually surprised about that. Rodolfo Bellato and Jake, the Celtic Kid Matthews right here. A lot of chalk right here. This is actually really chalky consensus picks, but as always, my friend, you're going to give us the word. What's the word for the consensus picks?
The word for the consensus picks, Derick, this week, it's hard not to say chalk. So I'm going with it, brother. Chalk all day long. I mean, there's some new faces on there, but a lot of these people stick to the game plan they have, and that's what leads them to victory.
One contentious pick this week, just like last week, and it's going to be surprisingly a championship bout, man. And even more surprisingly, AJ, listen, until she loses, I have to roll with Zhang Weili. You gotta roll with the champ. Everyone is saying Tatiana Suarez is the prophecy child, destined, injuries, illnesses. Those are the only things that can hold her back. But I believe there's a Chinese champion, and she has a name, and it's Zhang Weili, Charles Oliveira style, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk about that in a few. Just give me a quick word, because this is going to be the big talking point here today, man. Tatiana Suarez, is she the prophecy child?
She has all the potential to be the prophecy child, Derick. Now the test is put in front of her, and I think it's a really good opponent to have it against, because if Suarez does pull this off, man, she will be written in the legend for a while now going forward. She could be, not necessarily the new Amanda Nunes, but have a title reign similar to it.
The female could be at 115, pretty much, you know what I mean? But we're going to talk about that more in a second. We'll have a dedicated breakdown. Prop locks, AJ, you got a fun one. Talk to him.
Yeah, Derick, right here, prop lock we're rocking with. Du Plessis versus Strickland goes the distance, right? I see this fight playing out a lot like the first one, right? Strickland working the 1s and 2s, DDP, or walking DDP down, while Du Plessis tries to make things up, keep the pressure off of Strickland. Folks, this one makes it to the distance. You're looking at a minus 175, so still value there, especially for a very likely outcome.
Yeah, Australia again, right? It's a repeat. We'll see what happens. They say they're two completely different fighters. That much time hasn't passed since the fight, so we'll see. I got a good one for you guys. If you're not familiar with Cody Steele, BJJ phenom before he entered the MMA scene, he's fighting Rong Zhu. My bet in the distance, minus 110. Don't care how it gets done, but we know if he gets the people to the ground, he's either submitting them or he's clubbing and subbing them. So you're submitting him either way, or you're just going to knock him out. We'll see. I have a bet on submission, though. I think that's what it is. So, folks, a lot of good stuff to talk about. That's the bet sheet right here. If you want the in-depths, right? Anybody could just take the numbers and run with it, but you want the in-depths, you want the context, stick around. We got plenty of fun stuff for you, including a mailbag at the end of the show where you can have your questions featured and answered here on the Bloody Water Podcast.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Dricus Du Plessis is looking to solidify his stake. I feel like for a long time, he had this rise up where everyone bet against him. We're saying he's got to lose at some point. Look at the way he fights. It's so weird and it's just not right. And all the fighters are saying the same thing, but he keeps winning. And he keeps doing it in devastating fashion. He's finishing these people, right? Sean Strickland enters, and he has a performance that should have probably defended the title. He won. He was up on points. He did all the numbers things. But that's kind of the story of this bout right here, AJ. I'm not sure if numbers is actually what's going to win fights. I'm actually very confident Sean Strickland will outstrike Dricus Du Plessis. The question is outstriking him enough to win him a championship?
It's not, Derick. I mean, we saw it again, especially with how the judging has been going in the tail end of 2024 into 2025. Damage and moments seem to have this big impact on people, right? The oohs and the ahs of the crowd, and that's what Dricus is going to get. And as much as we were all betting against him in the past, the style he has seems to be a very hard puzzle to fix. And until you put Dricus out, he's always going to be in the fight.
I agree, man. But the hard part is Strickland looks good. If you rewatch the fight, he looks good the whole fight, man. He just, before you know it, before Dricus could even throw 1 or 2 shots, he's already got jabbed like 11 times. You know what I mean? Like he's just eating them. The problem is the man has a chin, the man has a gas tank, and he'll push the pace with grappling, with feints, with takedowns, with big bombs, head down, reckless abandon, swinging overhead. He'll do it for 25 minutes, AJ. We've seen it. So what can Sean Strickland do that's different? But after you answer that, we'll jump into numbers. But just from a matchup standpoint, like what can he do that's different? Because I see Sean Strickland fight the same way every time. It never changes.
Every single time, Derick, and what he needs to do is just add one more layer to his arsenal, right? Like you said, he's jabbing, he's pumping the jab the whole time, one more, 11 times in the face before DDP is able to get another one off. But next time, just follow it up with a big right hand and land those moments, and that's going to be the tide turner if you're looking to have Strickland win this fight.
Interesting. Okay, that's one way that you could definitely do it. Takedowns. You talked about how damage and moments matter. Do takedowns matter here? Because that is one thing you have to admit. There have been some people who have been able to rack up takedowns, but they're not doing damage and they're not winning fights. So what does a takedown mean in this matchup?
I don't think it means much to Derick, especially if Dricus, because that's who I'm thinking is going to be leading the takedowns, isn't able to hold Strickland down and then actually do the damage. We've seen control kind of fade by the wayside right now where, yes, they're able to get it in control, but then if other things are happening, that's what actually leads to the win. Unless DDP is able to put some work down or hold him down the entire 25 minutes of the fight, then I can see it happening, but I don't think it weighs that heavy on the judges anymore.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's talk about the numbers in this. This is what matters here, man. I was actually a little surprised, but the line hasn't moved much. Du Plessis opened around minus 205, plus 170 comeback for Strickland. That's where it's sitting right now. Plus 170 is still live there for Sean Strickland, minus 200 for Du Plessis. I'm hearing some people say this is incredible value to bet on DDP right here. And then I'm hearing other people saying that Sean Strickland is going to like 50-45 this dude. Just as long as he can avoid not staying on his back, this is the bet of a lifetime on Sean Strickland. I want to know your thoughts specifically.
If you're a Sean Strickland diehard, I can see where the logic is coming into place because he could. We've seen him stop takedowns. We've seen him use good movement and utilize keeping a distance, especially with the little teep kick, the little front push kick he likes to do. I just think the DDP line of all the ways this fight could go, and especially with how the judging has been going on in the future, or in the past, excuse me, it leads to DDP winning this fight. I do like the money, Derick, but like I said, the 4.5 at minus 160, I can see it happening, but I think this fight's going the distance at that minus 175 we were talking about earlier for the prop lock.
Currently at minus 170 right now, so actually got a little bit better right there. I like it. I think it's fair right here. I just wonder, what does Du Plessis what can he do to avoid the jab, man? Because that's the thing that's going to beat him up. You saw his face after the fight. That wasn't a pretty fight for him. Well, not a flawless fight by any stretch of the imagination. But are there any weapons that Du Plessis has to offer that can allow him to avoid that jab?
I mean, he had that reckless abandon you were talking about, head down, throwing big bombs. Now just do that instead of throw a bomb, keep your guard up and dip off the side. In theory, it'll work, but I just don't see DDP implementing or having the head speed to be able to get his head off the center line and then actually avoid the strikes because his hands are usually pretty low because he's looking to grab your hips as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm looking at the numbers too, and I'm looking at the just kind of recent outcomes right here. As I had mentioned, Du Plessis is a finisher, right? Submission. He had the split against Strickland, right? But aside from that, submission against Adesanya, knocked out Whitaker, knocked out Brunson, submitted Darren Till. If you're looking at Sean Strickland, I do see this as an opportunity. Don't get me wrong. I can see if he wins. I don't think it has to be by decision. Do you think that it has to be by decision? Like, is there a shot for a knockout by Sean Strickland? Because, again, sit down on a right hand after that jab, and you might see a little bit something different from Du Plessis.
Especially if Du Plessis is in one of those transition phases, right? Head down, arm coming over the top. You catch him on a nice button, like DDP can go down. So, yeah, that TKO at 675 does make some sense for Sean Strickland. I do think the 240 decision's better, but I think there is some juice right there if you're feeling a little risky, you want to put some cash down.
All right, man, I'm going to give you the real right here. This is my real opinion on this matchup. Again, Sean Strickland's a tricky one because the times that we bet on him to think we're making the smart play, like against Prado, for an example, where he has the edges, we see that's not his style. His style is the same every time. Now, I'm going to ditch the jiu-jitsu. Like, after the motorcycle accident, he's like, I'm ditching all jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to become a boxer, pretty much a kickboxer, more or less, right? But I'm going to come up, I'm going to teep, and I'm going to jab, and I'm going to stick you with the big shot eventually, but I'm just going to walk you down, and we're going to go in a circle for 25 minutes. Until I can see that style adapt a little bit, it makes it hard for him to bet on. But again, I think that if there is a bet for him to land more significant strikes landed in this fight, which I know like DraftKings and stuff like that, you take that all day long because he's going to outstrike Du Plessis. The only thing is, right, will he win the fight in Australia? Pretty much not a hometown game. I don't know why. He's a South African, but I feel like Australia, it's not neutral territory right here. So I think Du Plessis gets an easy dub. Not an easy dub, hard-fought, contentious dub right here. I just think he has more tools in the tool belt to be able to make that certainty of a victory much higher than Sean Strickland. I do think minus 200 is a pretty solid value play right here. Are you with that or not?
I'm with that all day, Derick. My one question: how shocked would you be if Sean Strickland actually does land the knockout and the judges aren't taking into consideration here? Because I'm at like an 8. If he can land this, like if he can involve his game to do that and put himself in the right places, I'd be pretty blown away.
We've seen Du Plessis get hit by some real nasty shots, and the man has a real deal chin. But I wouldn't be surprised because, again, when you watch him technically, you see a lot of the things that you're taught not to do that he gets away with, and it just works. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe if he was more technical, maybe he would have got knocked down. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? All I know is that the man is what? 22-2, 9 knockouts, 11 submissions, only 2 decisions. The man fights with reckless abandon. So if it hasn't failed him yet, I think we should be good. I think we're here. We're seeing solid ground here, and I do think that this is the guy right here. Until Chimaev challenges for the belt, I think that Du Plessis is going to be holding it down, right?
Absolutely. That just made me excited because that would be a great fight.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's the play right there. Du Plessis and AJ, we never gave him the real play because it's kind of baked into your prop. But you're saying in the distance, I think decision is the fair play. If you're looking at Du Plessis plus 165 by point, do you take that and layer it on top of going the distance, or do you just say stick with going the distance and keep it pushing?
No, I do think it's a good decision because I like Du Plessis to win this fight in multiple times. I think he would win this fight out of 10. So if you're looking to partner that plus 170 or plus 175 on addition to a minus 170, you're looking for good money right there if you're Du Plessis better.
Yeah, if you're really heavy on Du Plessis, you parlay them together and you make out like a bandit, you know what I'm saying? So that's your championship fight for the middleweight division. But AJ, the talk of the town, the one that I opened us up with saying this is the real story of today's program, it's the championship fight in the strawweight division. One, because I don't know what happened, man, but they kind of shelved the division entirely. Weili fights like one time a year. It's been that way for the last couple of years. Nobody else has really risen up to be that phenom that's saying like, I'm going to snatch the belt, aside from Suarez. And the reason that I think she doesn't get as much hype as she probably should have is because all the hype was on her, dude. Like 5 years ago? Like when she was really like rocking and rolling, but injuries and all the other stuff, it just kind of, it took her out. So now she's 34 years old. That's the big caveat. I want you guys to remember that. She's 34 years old, fighting a 35-year-old champion, which is also troubling. But Weili, because she has so little tread on the tires, or maybe that's not the right word to use, but she doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on her, I think that she's not a typical 35-year-old champion. So let's talk about it, man. Path to victory from the southpaw Tatiana Suarez. You take her down and you submit her. It's pretty simple, right?
Pretty simple. Get the respect earned from Weili Zhang by being able to dominate her. Work the ground game.
Now, I'm going to give you 2 tables of information, and you're just going to, I'm not even going to say anything after. I'm just going to give you the data set, and you're going to give me a reaction. Fair?
Fair.
All right, here we go. Jessica Andrade, Montana De La Rosa, Nina Nunez, Carla Esparza, Alexa Grasso. Then you got Yan Xiaonan, Amanda Lemos, Carla Esparza, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose Namajunas. What is your reaction to those data sets?
Yeah, one is a hit list of killers for sure, and a murderer's row of champs who have been there doing it for a long time. Where the other, there's some dangerous people in there, but not necessarily the caliber of opponent that was on the other side.
And that's the story right there, man. Weili, dominant, tested champion. Has she lost? Yes, she has. But she's come back with a vengeance. And she has improved not only her game, her full repertoire, really. She's improved as a striker. She's improved as a grappler. And she's fought some of the best to ever do it. Tatiana Suarez, though, aside from her little jump up, Montana De La Rosa at flyweight, it's just not the stiffest sense of opposition based on her fight style. You know what I mean? Carla Esparza, that's going to be the common opponent right there, where I don't care what you say, AJ. I don't care that her career didn't pan out maybe the way that people intended it to. I think that's a huge victory, especially from a grappling department, because Carla Esparza smashed everybody in the grappling. So that is big time right there. Now, Weili, when she beat Esparza, she submitted her. When Suarez fought Esparza, she knocked her out, ground and pound, right? So equal paths right here. This is the big question. The opening line, minus 120 for Weili, plus 100 for Suarez, flipped. Minus 120 for Suarez, even money for Weili. You bet $100 on Weili, you get $100 in return, right? Here's the question, man. If Tatiana Suarez gets to her bag, if she gets to the takedown, yes, a lot of people will be really scared, but I think that not only do you have to get the takedown, you have to hold Weili there. If you don't get the finish, you have to do that for 25 straight minutes. If she stands up, I just think that there is such a disparity AJ, in the striking. Now, can Suarez freeze her with her grappling? Maybe. But this isn't the first person that has attempted to take a wrestling approach against Weili. So I think it's a massive disparity on the feet. I think we see a whole entire different fight, not a championship level fight on the feet, but I think this is an incredible matchup if it's grappling oriented. What do you make of it?
Absolutely, Derick. And taking it all into consideration, I think it's an excellent matchup, especially for Tatiana Suarez, but also for Weili to prove, like, hey, doesn't matter who you're putting in front of me, I'm still the girl. Like you said, Derick, not too much wear on the tread. So there is the Weili Zhang effect where people, they're willing to put the game into effect. They can hurt her even sometimes. We've seen in the past couple fights, but still Weili is just there and healthy or solid, you know? Yeah. But I do think Tatiana Suarez has... Not momentum, and I don't want to say this is like her moment, but she does have the things carrying her forward where it seems like everybody's rooting for her, everything's going right, and it could be one of those things where if Tatiana Suarez was healthy back in the day, right, it doesn't have the injuries, she could have had the same list of killers on her hit list.
I mean, look at the gap, man. 2019 through, well, last fight aside from 2023 was in 2019, right? And we haven't seen Tatiana Suarez fight since 2023 because she got hurt again. That's the other thing. People aren't really picking up on this, man. It's not like she's been fully healthy. What do you make of this, though? This is actually, I wanted to bring this up. Weili announced, and she says, hey, you know what? I actually told the UFC I wanted the winner of Shevchenko and Grasso, but Shevchenko got hurt, so now I'm defending against Suarez. That kind of shows you the trajectory of Weili versus this matchup, which could be a pitfall. If she loses her belt because of a fight that she just kind of had to take because she couldn't get her opportunity, that would suck. But it goes to show she's kind of Makhachev-esque right now. He's like, hey, listen, I done cleaned out my division. I'm ready to go get some legacy over here. So, again, very binary matchup. Grappler heavy for Suarez. I think that Weili could pretty much do it all. The only real problem that I'm seeing in this matchup is the height, man. It's not the fight. It's the narrative around it. Is this your perfect opportunity to be objective for a second? Because we know what the pick is, right? We know we're both biased in our own sense because of who we're rooting with. But you just look at this matchup, right? Objectively, you're an alien and you look at it and you say the reigning champion with these 3 title defenses plus, other championship, all that good stuff, right? Versus the person who is kind of being propped up based on what happened in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, right? Like, odds-wise, man, you have to take a stab at the champ. You have to, right?
Oh, especially now that she's at even money. When I was looking at this, I thought I was taking the underdog right here. Oh. To see it's flipped, it's a little worrisome. I'm not gonna lie. When you read that number, Derick, I was like, oh shit, like, man, maybe we're rolling with the wrong thought process right here. Because objectively, and how Weili fights, like, it makes so much sense. She has all the tools in tool belt, and then her wrestling has only gotten better over the last couple of years, where we've seen Tatiana Suarez get in there, do some work, and then get injured, and then get in there and do some work, and then get injured again. There's some eyebrows to be raised for sure.
Yeah, honestly, man, the biggest problem, if we're being real about it, is that we have seen Weili concede some takedowns to Rose Namajunas. We've seen her concede takedowns to Esparza. I don't remember. I think she got taken out by Xiaonan, if I remember correct. So, listen, if the takedown is there, that's the scary part. Suarez can get one takedown and finish the fight. But if she doesn't, that's the question. So I'm going to roll with the resume. I'm going to roll with the current person with more momentum and the person who, actually, if you're looking at the numbers, man, fought more recently. Give me Weili. And still, we are cementing our stake in these divisions. We're not seeing too much up and at them. Because that's the thing, too, man. If Suarez, if she does get the belt, you got to defend it. Can she be an active champion? We'll see. But give the people your take, and let's move to the next.
I'm rolling with and new, Derick. Tatiana Suarez, folks. I think it's her time. I mean, yes, injury has happened. Things have gone on in the past. But when you're a hungry dog coming up, 34 years old, you only have so much time left on your card. Yes, this is going to be the shot. She gives it everything, all she's got. And I do think the submission probably looking like one of the better ways to get this fight going. Because if you can't get that done, you got to stand up at the start of every single round. And I do think there's a disparity there. I'm rolling Tatiana Suarez and new plus 275 submission, folks.
A submission does look nice. And fight to not go the distance. Minus 135 right now. Something to think about, folks. All right. Moving on, AJ. So we hit the big part of the pay-per-view. This is the part right here where a lot of people are like, is this a pay-per-view? I don't know. But we got some heavyweights right here. And we got the Brazilian Stefan Struve that we need to talk about, man. So Justin Tafa, the bad man, always down for a good scrap. But he gets Taliesin Teixeira. And AJ, this is going to be a pretty cut and dry one, man. This dude is 6'7", 260 pounds, has a 83-inch reach, so John Jones-esque reach right here. The dude looks like he's poised to be the next big thing in the division because he's got that kind of, don't get me wrong, this will be a stretch, but that Muhammad Ali float style, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't no Ali, but he got that little float style a little bit, which you love to see in a heavyweight division. We're all about the hybrids. We're all about the kind of like the lighter guys now. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. I think people are hyping him up. Odds, minus 135 current. That's pretty similar. He opened at minus 155, so down to minus 135 right now. Justin Tafa, plus 115. I do think there's value here, and we need to talk about it. But give me your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely, Derick. We've seen the shift go from the faster, kind of more bouncy heavyweights that are there, that are good to strike, and I catch the reference, or the reference you're talking about with Ali. Teixeira, tall striker, fast for his frame, willing to be in and move in and out, and then actually cut off angles. Whereas we're used to the other style of fighter, right? The heavyweight, the plotter, the one that's just going to walk you down, throw big bombs, and catch you. And as much as Tafa is more so the latter of those style of fighters, guy got movements as well, Derick. Fast tips. He has good kicks. He can definitely kick the 6'7" Teixeira in his head if he needed to. But I mean, there's some issues that go into having to fight somebody that tall. So I mean, Tafa, if there's ever a guy to do it, he's going to close the distance, and he's down to brawl. And the thing that makes me excited, Teixeira is also down to sit in the pocket and get to work.
Man, both of these heavyweights have plus odds on their TKO props. We got to exploit this. Someone's getting knocked out here, AJ. I'm sorry. This ain't going to a decision, right?
No, this is not going decision. Somebody's getting knocked out. If it's early, I'm betting on Tafa. But I do think if Teixeira is able to play a smart game, he can find some holes that are being presented and utilize what a lot of other fighters have against Tafa. And it's just pick him apart until he gets tired and looking to land those big bombs.
I'm going to be real with you again here, man. Again, hype, I think, is overruling this entire matchup. I was really surprised to see Teixeira be the minus money, and I think there's one very clear reason. He's the Brazilian Stefan Struve. You know, he's 6'8" or whatever. You know, like, people are looking at him. He's tall. He's long. Look at that nasty knockout that he had on the Contender Series. AJ, did you catch that highlight?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Derick. He chinned him.
But did you catch him getting caught like 20 times right before getting chinned? Like, did you see? All I'm saying here is Justin Tafa is not just like, oh, run-of-the-mill heavyweight. We're just going to, like, you know, if you give him the chance to connect, it's one shot and it's over, right? Like, that's what we love about the bad man. If you look at his resume, the loss to Carl Williams, he got wrestled to death. Austin Lane, he knocked him out. No contest, eye poke before that. Knocked out Parker Porter in the first round. Knocked out Harry Hunsucker in the first round. Not saying these are, like, flawless, amazing heavyweights right here. But I'm just saying, man, like, when he loses, these are like decisions. He's got knocked out in the first round, I think, one time in his UFC career. But, like, he's not an easy guy to just spark, right? This isn't junior Tafa, and no disrespect, right? But Justin, he's the bad man. I just think that Taliesin Teixeira, man, you look at his body of work, his overall opposition career opponent record is like 15-20 or something like that. It's not great. So I think Justin Tafa walks him down in a straight line. That movement, that Ali style, is awesome until you're a 6'8", 83-inch reach who's going backwards because you can't push the pace and use your frame, right? I think he gets pushed up to the fence, man. And if he gets pushed up to the fence, I think it could be over very quickly. I think Tafa, that's all he needs. He just needs to corral him, and then it could be over, which scares me a lot. But AJ, if that doesn't happen, then you look dumb for not betting on the 6'8" Stefan Struve, the Brazilian one. So give me your thoughts overall here, man, because I'm sorry. I just can't get the hype out of this. I think the hype is really dictating the price here.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with you, Derick. The hype is dictating the price, and how, how Justin Tafa looked in the last fight, getting wrestled to death by Williams. I think that put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and the dropouts he's had to have a couple times where his brother stepped in, XYZ. Like, there's a lot of things that don't make Tafa look good in the eyes of the bettor. But he is, his nickname, the bad man, bro. He is a bad man. He can get in there and get things done. If Teixeira isn't able to control the distance with the kicks he has, because he has nice kicks as well, especially from range. If he's able to keep Tafa away, he has a really good shot of winning this fight. But like we said before, Derick, all Tafa needs is one, and this is a great litmus test to really put to proof that if Teixeira is worthy of all those TKO round ones he's collected in his last 5 fights, because this is the one where if you're going in reckless, Tafa's going to put you to sleep.
This is a high pressure spot, man. UFC debut against the bad man on a pay-per-view. I mean, listen, man, nut up or shut up on this one, for real. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens right here. I do think that the oohs and the ahs are definitely going to come, but I'm going to leave it at that, man. Last thing. Teixeira, I saw a picture of him with the black belt. I don't know if it's real. Hey, listen, I love jiu-jitsu. But there's a lot of black belts out there where you knock somebody out and you get a black belt. Will he use it? Justin Tafa throws a kick. Is he going to take him down and start working that way? Because if he does, that just leads to betting heavier on Teixeira. All right, folks, my disclaimer to you. I'm rolling with Teixeira. I'm rolling with a knockout. I don't see this fight ending any other way. But if Justin Tafa knocks this man out, I told you so. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I got to double down on that one as well. I love the bad man. I love knockouts, and I want him to win. But I do think the smart money's on Teixeira.
All right, fair. All right, man, let's move on to the next one. The return of the Brute, Jimmy the Brute Crute. He's coming back, AJ, against Rodolfo Bellato. And this is a fight right here, man, where once upon a time, actually, let me see, when was 2023, it wasn't that long. He took a year off, took a year and some change off or whatever, and says, all right, I'm ready to come back. I remember after that Alonzo Menafield loss, where he just looked timid the whole fight, ended up getting submitted. Who wouldn't look timid against the atomic Alonzo Menafield? But he got submitted, guillotined, and just said, I need to figure some things out. Hopefully, that gave him enough to come back and come correct. But now you got a tough matchup, man. Bellato is not bad. He's good. But he did get chinned by Ihor Potieria, and that's got to give some major concerns given that Potieria moved down to 185. If Jimmy Crute hits this man clean, it is game over. That's the problem, man. Can he hit him clean? Bellato's fast, and he can grapple, and he can push a pace. What do you make of it?
Yeah, this is I'm excited to see Jimmy Crute back. I mean, back in 2023, even the lead up, right? 2021, he's having his fights with the Hill. I was still hyped for him. He's losing, he's getting knocked out back in 21, but still, he had all the makings to be a very dangerous and fun style of fighter. Now he's back, right? He's hopefully going to be looking good. Hopefully going to be looking to get back to where he was. But he's going up against a Bellato, a fighter who I would say is not necessarily underestimated, but a little underappreciated, right? Tall style of striking, likes to be on the front foot, has heavy hands, but also he's dangerous in the pocket, man. He has dangerous knees, decent submission. Like, he's well-rounded, but not a lot of people know him, so I'm sure a lot of eyes are looking at Crute to really put some work in. Bellato is a dangerous fighter. Yeah,
both of these dudes are champions on the regional scene. Bellato has some 5-round experience here, probably not going to need it. But the one thing that I see that stands out off tape right here is that he's just like a bully. A bully in the sense of, I'll get in your face and what's up? We're going to push it. Let's go. Even against Potieria, where I saw the biggest problem was Potieria was just too fast. He was too fast for him. So he's like, I gotta catch your ass, man. Hold on, stay still. You know what I mean? He gets dropped, wrestles back up, and says, oh, you're tired now. I got you. How surprising was that? Light heavyweight. And he's calling out the dude who dropped down to middleweight, be like, yeah, you're tired. What's up? Let's fight. Bro, if he does that to Crute, it's nasty. Like, what did you make of that?
I mean, if you've seen Potieria fight, you kind of know this guy's fast. He's slick. He's able to get things going, but he does have his moments where he is able to be controlled. So I wasn't too shocked by it, Derick, but I was impressed, right? Anytime you can drop a big man like that, make him hurt, yeah, you're going to look good. But it comes back. Bellato goes back to what he knows, gets to wrestling, gets to be able to win the fight. He looks good all around. But, yeah, you can get chinned, and if you're going up against Jimmy Crute, you cannot leave your hands down.
Well, that was the other thing, too. I felt like maybe he didn't respect the power of Potieria. He's like, I'm going to eat whatever comes your way. But again, against Crute, it's definitely like that's a nuclear bomb coming your way, so you got to be careful. I was more impressed about being a big man and being able to be like, push the pace, homeboy, what's up with your cardio, right? Because I think that if he applies that same thing to Crute, it's going to be nasty. But the problem is, Crute, he hits so hard, it's not going to take a large amount. Like, the volume of his strikes, it doesn't need to be high for him to do real damage. So it just comes down to, how does this fight truly play out, man? If you look at the methodologies, Crute is definitely a shorter span fighter in terms of like average fight time. What is it? 5 minutes and 53 seconds, almost 10 minutes for Bellato. So if it goes early, you got to lean Crute for like a big shot. But if this goes past the first round, I haven't seen enough from Jimmy Crute to confidently bet on him. I was a little hesitant seeing that the open, what was it for Bellato? Minus 165, currently at minus 160. Line really hasn't moved much right here. So I'm still a little hesitant on the price, AJ. I'm not sure if the price is a good price to pay. Where do we see value? Where do we find money here?
I think if we're looking money, Derick, we're looking at the over and under, right? It's 2.5. It's almost all the way done with the fight. If you're a Jimmy Crute fan, you're looking for the under. But I'm right here thinking, oh, yeah, minus 2.5, 150. I'm looking at the Bellato line. That's that over, right? You're looking... Oh, excuse me. I had that backwards. The under is plus 120 for the Jimmy Crute fan. The over is minus 150 for Bellato. That makes a lot of sense, especially his money line. You're looking at minus 160. Not the worst. I do think the money's not there for how untested he is in the UFC. Other than that, Derick, Bellato fan, plus 400 submission. What do you think?
Nah, I'm not taking it. We're going knockout if we're going anything right here. I don't believe it. I think that he knocks him out. I think it's a fatigue type situation. But I will also say here, update for those who are live bettors. The rounds odd has changed. That's actually shifted to 1.5 right here. Minus 140 for the over, plus 110 for the under. So I'm one of those where I want to bet the over, but I could see this fight ending like a minute before that. You know what I mean? Over 1.5 hits, because over 1.5 was like 7.5 minutes or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of a long time for these style of fighters right here. If this fight goes to the ground right here, because Jimmy Crute can wrestle as well, but whoever's on bottom, I think Bellato can get back up. If Jimmy Crute gets put on his back, can he get back up?
I don't think so, Derick. We haven't seen enough of him lately, and especially when you take some breaks and you go in, you're not used to what the game has changed to in the UFC. And I'm not saying he's not training, I'm not saying he's doing that, but seeing it in real life and seeing it in action when you're in the cage, it's a whole different story. I think Bellato keeps him pinned.
All right. I like Bellato. That's the consensus pick that we got right here. Minus 160 is what you can tag him at. But if you're a knockout better right here, current live odd plus 145 for the KO. But Bellato, just in general, that's the consensus pick. Go ahead and run it, folks. AJ, talk to us. Jake the Celtic Kid Matthew versus Francisco Prado. This is a recipe for violence right here. Simple. Prado is going to walk forward and he's going to try to knock him out early. Jake Matthews is going to do everything in his power to probably extend the fight, maybe do a little bit of wrestling, but you have to slow down the athletic dudes. This is how I feel when I'm in jiu-jitsu and I'm against the 19-year-old wrestler who just has an infinite gas tank. I'm like, I have to slow you down. Stop moving, please. You know what I mean? I think Jake Matthews has to do that. Jake Matthews isn't old in his own right, but he's at 30 years old, 20-7, has a wealth of experience that Francisco Prado can only dream of when the man is only 22 years old. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Derick, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I do think Jake Matthews, at least by timestamp, if you will, like in our head, he's a lot older of a fighter going forward, man. 30 is not that old, and he does have a wealth of experience. Prado has a lot of things going for him in this fight, man. Solid boxing, good power. If he's able to catch Matthews in one of those transitional periods where Matthews is looking to mix it up, because I think he's going to be, through some strikes, through some takedowns, be confusing to the younger style of fighter. I think Prado, man, he can work, especially because he has good head movement in there. He's able to put good work together. I just think Jake Matthews has seen more, done more, and has more in his arsenal to be able to put the pace on, man. Put Prado not necessarily in a washing machine, but have him confused on what's going on and what your next move is.
I think he has to utilize the tenacity of Prado. He has to weaponize it against him. You know what I mean? He has to tire him out. The big bombs are going to be coming his way. When you look at wins against Philip Rowe, Andre Fialho for Jake Matthews, you're like, wow, impressive stuff, right? But then you look at losses to Morales, which is not a bad loss at all, but you lost to Semi the Jedi, who is actually no longer, I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. I think he officially got released from the UFC. So it's a big drop-off, man. It's like a continuity type of issue here for Jake Matthews. Francisco Prado, on the other hand, man, I mean, that win against Azatar, that was a good win, right? But a couple nasty losses, the Malarkey and Zellhuber, right? Some losses. AJ, what can Francisco Prado do to put himself on the map here, aside from a first-round knockout? He could submit him, too. Jake Matthews has been submitted a couple times, I think 3 times in his career. What can he do to put himself on the map?
I think one of the big things is avoid looking chaotic and careless inside the pocket, right? Because Jake Matthews, one of the big things I had, like, coinciding in these fighters, they're down to sit in the pocket and trade. Matthews is just smarter about how he does it, where Francisco Prado, he just looks like a wild man. Reckless abandonment, I'm going to take your head off. If he's able to have that, but then pull back a little bit and then go back in again, instead of just reckless abandonment, like he can have just a little bit of tact to that, that'll be an evolution I think can push him going further and further into the division, utilizing that same style against a bunch of different other fighters.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Clean it up a little bit. Something that comes with experience and maturity, right? But I'm really looking at the Jake Matthews, and I'm looking at plus 105 points prop right there. What do you make?
Ooh, plus 105 points prop. I mean, obviously, you saw, folks, we're looking at Matthews to be winning this fight, and at a minus 225 money line, a lot of people, or at least on the open, a lot of people are thinking the same thing. I mean, plus, it's his best odd to be winning on all the prop lines as well. I think it's the smartest way to go about it, because you're not wanting to come in on an absolute crusher like Prado. So I do think it makes a lot of sense, Derick. I like it.
Now, if you leverage the experience of Jake Matthews and you're still not sold that he gets the job done, but you think that his veteranship can like draw this fight out. Fight goes the distance, minus 140, or over 2.5, minus 175. Which one do you like better?
I like the minus 140 to go the distance a little bit better, Derick, especially if you're confident in Jake Matthews and his durability, right? Even if he doesn't win the fight on this one, because Prado, he has some good combos. He's down to brawl, but Jake Matthews is durable, and then he can shoot a takedown. Extend this fight even longer. I like the distance at minus 140.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed with Prado, too, a lot of his knockouts come early, man. 8 first-round finishes, and the man has 12 fights, right? So it's like if the fight extends, he might hurt you, but is he going to get that knockout? That's where we lean into that a little bit more. So consensus pick, the Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews, but Francisco Prado is a live dog here as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, this dude can end the fight in one shot. So, folks, that is your main card, UFC 312. 2 high-stakes championship fights, and then you got a couple other ones where, like I told you, this was a hard one for us to put all our bets together, but in the grand scheme of things, man, I definitely think we got to the right spot. So, all right, AJ, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the program.
And now, the Bloody Water Podcast presents your Fight Night bonus plays.
4 plays on deck. AJ is the arbiter of truth. We're going to break them down one by one. Then he'll give us the official UFC 312 bonus play. So, AJ, if you're ready to rock and roll, we'll go ahead and line them up. Let's get it then. All right, man. First up, first play. The champ, Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez inside the distance at minus 150. So if you heard us, our long ramble about the matchup, then you know where our heads are at. But this is an interesting one. AJ, give him a one-liner on why this makes sense.
I mean, Derick, this makes sense. When I was looking at this odd, right, they had the over and under at 2.5, and I was like, there has to be some science behind why they're thinking this, right? We don't see a lot of 5-round fights at 2.5, and then the over was minus 205, so a lot of people are thinking this one's going to be extended a little bit. But with how both fighters fight and with how I see the fight going to be going, like we were talking about before, I like the inside the distance at minus 150 right here. I don't see this one making it to the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair play right there. This is a really good one. Folks, keep an eye on that one. Next up, Slavoklas, Vyacheslav Borshov. Did I say that right? Yeah, Vyacheslav Borshev. There we go. Versus Tom Nolan. This is going to be such a fun fight right here. TKO for Slavoklas, plus 120. That's fun. You got him over Nolan, though. Talk to him.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, Derick. Best odds for Borshev on his prop line, plus his opponent, Tom Nolan. Only loss is by a KO. We know Slavoklas has the hands to get it done, but does he have the power against an absolute killer like Nolan? We're going to see.
And you know who knocked him out? Nicholas Mota. Iron hands right there. Hey, shout out to the man. All right, next up, Renato Bellato plus Taliesin Teixeira money line. We're doubling up on the money line, 2 favorites, but that does give you plus money, plus 186. I actually really like this. It also really scares me, but talk to the people.
Very scary, Derick. This is my tall man's parlay right here, right? Yeah. We were talking about it. They both have the size in each of their fights. They're the favorites going into this one. Not saying height has anything to do with winning the fight, but both fighters are against well-known people who are a little bit more veteran in their style, but I think the young guns have a great shot to win these fights.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. That one you could look back and be like, that was easy money right there. All right, last up, this was AJ probably one of the hardest fights that I even looked at. I wanted to stay away from it because I just had no reads on it. Jack Jenkins, Gabriel Santos, over 2.5 rounds at minus 185. Very interested here. Not sure I agree with the over 2.5. We could see an under, but who knows? I have a bad read on this one. Talk to him.
We could see an under, Derick, but the vast majority of each of these fighters' fights make it past that 2.5 round mark, right? Mm-hmm. Even though they're getting finishes consistently, it's usually after that 2.5 round mark.
That's it. All right. Well, you have 4 plays. Again, to recap, Zhang Weili versus Suarez inside the distance. Slavoklas by knockout, Bellato money line, Teixeira money line, combine them together, and then Jenkins versus Santos over 2.5 rounds. AJ, what is the UFC 312 bonus play?
Bonus play this week, folks. We're running with the tall man's parlay, Bellato money line, Teixeira money line. Like Derick said, we're going to look back on this and think easy money right here, and it's a consensus pick all day long.
That's it. All right. You got it right there, folks. Moving right on along from the bonus plays to the most important section of this program, the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow. Folks, that's the sleepers, and we're here to break them down. You ever been watching the fights and said, oh, man, you hear about that Conor McGregor fight going on or that Amanda Nunes or whatever headliner, and you say, yeah, but did you not know there's 14 other fights underneath that? Are you checking those ones out? Oh, no, I don't have time for all of that. Well, now you do.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're going to sleep on me and I'm going to wake you up.
Quinlan Salkield, and if I butchered it, brother, sorry. But, and then versus Anshul Jubli. Folks, if you don't remember Anshul Jubli, he's hailed as the first Indian UFC fighter. But most notably, in his debut, he has a win, or excuse me, he was winning the fight against Mike Breeden, and then started getting barked at, and just everything came crumbling to the ground, right? So he's looking to make a show. Very technical striking, needs to put on the show to be the dog now instead of getting barked at. Salkield, man, this dude's making his UFC debut and absolutely phenomenal, talented, very well-rounded, coming from the Dana White Contender Series performance. Likes to utilize kicks going forward, but also a very talented fighter all around. The lowdown right here, folks, both fighters are 7-1. So right in the same realm as far as their career paths, combined 8 wins by finishes. Expect a technical yet fast-paced fight going for this one. Both fighters have the ability to end the fight very, very quickly. They are the future of the UFC in the making right now.
Yeah, this is such a fun one. Salkield, that's the guy you got to watch for. Without anything else, like Jubli, good, but yeah, his debut definitely got tarnished by getting barked at, and then Breeden's not even in the UFC anymore, so that's even worse. But anyway, Salkield, that's the guy you got to watch for. He blends mixed martial arts so beautifully, folks. This is gonna be a mouthful, but I got a good one for you. Hyun Sung Park versus Naim Jargal Tumendembaral, folks. You know I jacked that up. But this is such a fun fight. 125 pounds. You have to tune into this fight because most important than anything else is you got finishers at 125, which we always love to see. And I wrote down actual notes here because I didn't want to mess this up. So I got a clash of some undefeated momentum in Park versus that rebound. Tumendembaral, he lost his fight. He lost the O. You're hungry. You're looking for revenge. At the end of the day, man, these finishing flyweights right here are looking to take physical advantages and technical prowess, combine them together, and see who can come out on top. Park, some people are saying, isn't the guy that he's being hyped up as, but Tumendembaral can come in and actually prove that. But then some people say the other, vice versa. In the grand scheme of things, man, you have a long reach Tumendembaral, long and lanky, and you got a dude who's going to try to get on the inside. Both dudes are going to try to grapple. Park, Tumendembaral, names that you want to be aware of, but 125 pounds. I have nothing else to tell you, but you have to watch out. This is the first fight of the night, and when it's a flyweight fight for the first fight of the night, you know there's a high probability that this can be a washing machine matchup, probably ending in a finish, but it could go out to a long drawn out decision, but a fun one. So you have to watch this fight. I am urging you. I will not beg you, but I will plead. You have to watch this fight. 125, baby. You know what time it is. Flyweight unders are back. All right, AJ, that's my sleeper. Did I do all right on that one? I thought that was pretty solid.
Hyped me up, Derick. Flyweight unders are back, folks. Let's see some knockouts this weekend.
That's it. All right, folks, moving right on along in our program. Where are we at right now? We hit the sleepers. We hit the bonus plays. We only got one piece of business left, man. We got a mailbag that we got to attend to. So let's go ahead and let me just bring it up. Sorry, I got to go get my questions. All right. Mailbag is right here. Folks, heads up. You want to be featured on the program? You want your questions read and answered? This is also a great opportunity to talk about some of the other non-main event related fights on the card. But submit your questions to the mailbag, Instagram, YouTube comments, whatever works best for you. Let's not mince any words, AJ. We did clean it up from last week. We filtered a little bit better. Octagon Oracle is first up, AJ. All right. First fight had Strickland outlanding Dricus on the feet, but the judges loved the takedowns. If Sean stuffs 80% of the shots this time, does he steal it, or will the judges still hate on his boring jab teep style? Which is hilarious, because that's what everybody's been saying. All he does is jab and teep. We talked about this earlier, but we didn't say if he stuffs 80% of the shots. Yeah, if he keeps this one standing, if Dricus cannot land a takedown, does Sean walk away with this, or do the judges rob him blind?
Unfortunately, I do agree with you, Derick. I think he is in enemy territory, but if he stuffs 80% and then leaves Dricus as lumped up as he did the first fight, Sean's running away with this and running to the bank.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention earlier too, man. Strickland brought it up too, but you can't forget part of the damage, he did get headbutted. He did have a nasty gash running down. And the judges are going to look at that headbutt or not and say, well, he was bleeding. He probably lost, right? I'll have to look back and see if he actually lost the round where the headbutt came in. But the point is, there's more that factors into it. Sean Strickland definitely, in my opinion, he definitely wins this like 11 out of 10 times if he could stuff the takedowns. That's just the problem, can you? All right, that's a fair one. That was a layup, though. All right, Panda Rage _929. This is for our co-main. Weili's coach said she trained with Dagestani wrestlers for this. If Suarez can't take her down, is it a wrap for her? Hype is all over Suarez, but Weili has dominated 115 since she's been in the UFC. I actually didn't know that. AJ, do you know if this is true? Did Weili train with Dagestani wrestlers?
I don't know if it's true, Derick, and at least it might be me and it might be recency bias. That doesn't necessarily hold the same value it used to back, just a couple years ago. As much as even Mighty Mouse, he was training out in Dagestan, or with the Dagestani fighters, I should say. The workout looked hard, but not all the Dagestani fighters have that same Khabib output and Khabib gas tank we've been seeing. So I don't know if that's as highly touted as it once was. If she can stop her, though, I mean, man, Weili might walk away with this looking good.
I'll say this, man. I have a very different opinion. I think that I don't care. If you're a specialist in what you do, like Suarez is a specialist in the wrestling, you could train for 2, 3, 4, 5 years with Dagestani wrestlers every day. You're not going to catch up. There's leaps and levels to this thing that cannot be caught up to in a couple of years or a couple of months, really, because I imagine if she trained for this camp, an 8-week camp, she only fights once a year, so maybe it's even a 6-month camp. You're not going to learn how to wrestle at as high of a level as Suarez in that time. So that's my take there. All right, Zen dude forever. AJ, this is important. I forgot about this one. Y'all catch the video of Kevin Lee getting sparked in training. Who's in the wrong? Lee for the lazy knee or his partner for putting him out? AJ, did you catch that video?
I did catch the video, Derick. It's a hard one. I have a lot of opinions on it because should you be trying to knock your sparring partner out in training? No. Did his training partner throw everything he had into that punch? No. Kevin Lee was closing the distance, man. What happens when a fist hits somebody coming in on him? Usually they get knocked out, right? Especially in a transition. We've seen it consistently. That's what counterpunching is made for. When they're closing the distance, they open their chin. You hit them. You don't need all the power in the world, man. We said it before. Timing beats speed, or power beats precision. Power beats precision. Timing beats speed. He timed a really good counter right hand while Kevin Lee's hands were down, throwing a flying knee. Also, should you be throwing a flying knee in practice? Like, come on, man. Like, I get it. There's multiple things going on. I don't really hold anybody accountable.
I'm looking at it from the athlete's perspective. Like my training partner, jiu-jitsu is different because you can't knock somebody out in jiu-jitsu. But if like my training partner, when we're just doing a normal drilling type, regular rolls, and he's trying to like a live roll, like competition style, choke me unconscious, fucking blast double and slam me on my head, I have a problem with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that's not cool. That's not what we do in the training room. You do that against your competitors when you're fighting, but we don't do that in the training room. But as you mentioned, do you throw a flying knee in training? It looked like he pulled back on that so bad. Other people are saying, well, it was just a bad flying. His hands were completely down. Flying knee. Dude came in, turned his hip. It was a snappy right hook. It was beautiful overhand. Like, it was snappy. Bing! Caught him. And I don't know. The way Kevin Lee's face looked like I'm good, like a he was pissed off about it in the moment type situation, but when you get flash dropped, who knows where your head's at? I don't know, man. Might not come to a consensus on this one. I don't think it was right, though, and I think that you treat your training partners, it's a brotherhood when you're training, unless you're training with randoms, and that's where you got to be really careful about who your training partners are. So that's like my big overall. You'd be very careful choosing your training partners, you know what I mean?
100%, Derick. I agree with you on that one.
All right, cool. Moving on, Frostbite 99. Right on. Tom Nolan's got a sick highlight reel, but fights like he's allergic to game plans. That's funny. Borshev striking may be too slick. Does Nolan need to wrestle? Fight of the night matchup. AJ, you take this one.
Does he need to wrestle for fight of the night matchup? I don't think so, Derick. I think Nolan has some better skills going into this fight because he's going to have the power. He's going to be able to use the wrestling if he needs to. But to have a fight of the night style against Borishev, Borishev, Slavaklav is going to come in there with the combos. He's going to be looking clean as well while he does it. If Tom Nolan can put some work to him right away, lump him up, and then just do as you will, man, he can have a fight of the night right there. And I don't think he needs to wrestle to be able to do that either.
I think Slavaklaus is going to make it a fight of the night regardless, right? I think he's going to bring it to you. And if you don't take him down, then you might not make it to the end of the fight to get fight of the night. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see. But this should be definitely a fun one. Yeah, I don't think Tom Nolan's going to need to grapple here. I just think this could be a fun back and forth knockout or fight for a knockout or a fight of the night. So I guess if the question specifically is it a fight of the night matchup, we might not make it that far, but it'll be a fun one regardless. All right, man. Vector X88. Oh, yes, this is important. Wang Kong, she's back, AJ. She's fighting Bruna Brazil. So Wang Kong versus Bruna Brazil is a big fight, but buried on the prelims. If Wang loses, does she get cut? Both fighters have already been fraud checked. That's a little drastic. Does she get cut? She was like the Chinese Conor McGregor, 2 months ago. You know what I mean? I mean, the sport moves very quickly, but I will say, man, she got fraud checked bad. Bruna Brazil coming off that highlight KO on the Contender Series, she got fraud checked too, but I think it was more, she got hyped up more than where she needed to be. Bruna Brazil has been fighting with the fighting nerds. Keep that into account. What do you got on this one?
I don't think either fighter gets cut, however they lose, unless they choose just to stop MMA. But, I mean, there are only 2 fights in. Usually everybody has a 3-fight contract unless something crazy goes on. I think both fighters put in the work. I'm just happy to see a little closer odds than we saw last time for Wang Kong. Both fighters are good, though. So, I don't think either of them are in danger of losing their jobs.
You never know, though, man. I think they're just looking at it as if you don't perform or if you don't fight in a friendly, fan-pleasing style, you're out. I think it's a shorter leash these days. All right, last one, and we'll get up out of here. Striker_Smoke Savant. What a username. Gabriel Santos is a -230 favorite, but why? Dude's 1-2 in the UFC and got outboxed by Onama. Jack Jenkins, he's got 3 UFC wins and better stats. Odds makers smoking that good. AJ, are the odds makers smoking that good? I like Jack Jenkins in this one too, man. I actually thought kind of the same thing. I thought that Gabriel Santos is a little overpriced in this matchup, and Jack Jenkins is a live dog play, especially if he can get nasty with some body work, mix it up the way that he does, because his loss was a loss. But against Chepe Mariscal, man, I'm pretty sure it was that rib injury, right? It wasn't a real loss. I mean, a loss is a loss, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, loss is a loss, Derick, but even a lot of the Tapology bettors, the Tapology fans right there are looking at Jenkins as well. So I agree with the post, right? Santos, as much as he is a favorite going into this fight, I do think Jack Jenkins presents a lot of other things that can make him look not boring, but more predictable in a fight going forward. But he has all the tools to just put some absolute work to Santos right here. A lot of people are leaning KO as well. That's what I think going into this one. It's going to be an interesting fight.
All right, fair enough. AJ, that's the end of the mailbag, but I got one final mailbag question from me to you. This is my thought, because I feel like we can't end this show, we cannot wrap without talking about probably the most hyped up, hasn't made his debut in the UFC yet, Alexandre Topuria. We have to talk about it really quickly against Colby Thickness, right? Interesting because Topuria, the real Topuria, why am I blanking on his first name? Ilya, there we go. Ilya is going to be in the corner of his brother, and Volkanovski is going to be in the corner of Thickness. So this is like an ultimate fighter coaching type situation. Here's my big question, man. Lots of hype on Topuria. This is a very winnable matchup, given that I'm pretty sure this was like a short notice replacement type bout, but they just wanted to get him on there. Does Alexandre Topuria, Ilya's older brother, does he dominate this matchup? And is it going to be the Bash Bros, but Topuria style?
I don't want to give an instant yes, Derick, because of all the hype, but I do think it's right there. I mean, if little brother is able to go and do some work, and we've seen how that happens with brothers, that usually the little brother is more skilled because he has to fight the bigger brother. But big bro Alexandre right here, he has some power to him. He's able to get the same work going, and he's training hard. He probably has a little bit of a mental advantage going into this fight too. I don't want to say yes instantly, but I'm leaning towards yes. They're going to see a Bash Brothers type situation.
Give me a prediction, and I'll give you mine as well, but you go first, because I'm going to cheat that way. 5 years from now, is Alexandre Topuria in the UFC?
No.
Oh, sheesh. Yeah, no, I don't think so either. That was my take. I thought I was going to be the lone man out on that one. But that's fair. Maybe he'll prove us wrong. Ilya already proved me wrong plenty of times, so we'll see what happens. But, folks, that is your program right there. If you made it this far, again, send us a question. We'll answer your question on the mailbag next week, but we got some fun fights. UFC 312 is in store. AJ, that's the program, yeah?
Yes, sir. It's going to be a fun weekend, folks. Let's go make some money.